Well, the man formerly known as Prince Andrew has been reduced to a meme. Now, it is so diabolical that activists have hung up a photo of him leaving the police station after his arrest at the Louvre in Paris with the caption, "He's sweating now, 2026, placed just below it." I mean, this was on display, would you believe, for 15 minutes before it was taken down by staff. It is an absolute new peak level of humiliation because Andrew has become a total parody of himself. Have a look at what is doing the rounds on social media. Prince Andrew, after realising it's the actual police at his door and not a stripper on his birthday. And Andrew wondering why the people turning up are holding handcuffs instead of his birthday cake. Dearie me. But look, between the image of him on all fours to new allegations he participated in sex shooting parties at Sandringham, where apparently lube and condoms were in rooms, to this new image of him with a toddler, and now I stress there are absolutely no allegations of any wrongdoing. And then this picture of him, of course, in the back of a police car after his arrest on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Now, none of this, of course, takes away from the seriousness of the allegations, all of which Andrew strenuously denies. But the guy looks like he's white as a ghost. And this screams to me that he had no idea that he was caught unawares. Well, what on earth did he expect? Or maybe was it because he doesn't sweat, apparently?
So you're absolutely sure that you're at home on the 10th of March?
Yeah.
She was very specific about that night. She described dancing with you and you profusely sweating, and that she went on to have bath, possibly.
There's a slight problem with the sweating because I have a peculiar medical condition, which is that I don't sweat, or I didn't sweat at the time, and that was yes, I didn't sweat at the time because I had suffered what I would describe as an overdose of adrenaline in the Falklands War when I was shot at, and I simply it was almost impossible for me to sweat.
Never gets old, does it? Joining me now to break down the arrest, the investigation and what this means for the royal family moving forward is former UK Attorney General Sir Michael Ellis. Sir Michael, thank you very much for being on the program on what is such a very important event. It's been a huge couple of days in the United Kingdom. I want to start with these allegations that were revealed in the Mail on Sunday that King Charles was warned as far back as 2019 that the royal family's name was being abused by Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor's business association. No doubt this is a shocking look for the King already. He's being heckled everywhere he goes. But now more allegations. What does this mean for King Charles?
Well, hello, Danica. I think the situation really is this. If we, of course, have to bear in mind that King Charles was not king in 2019. So although Buckingham Palace has understandably and as usual has not made any comment, and of course its default position is that it doesn't comment on stories, we have to bear in mind that any attempt to say that the king didn't do something doesn't quite work in 2019 because he wasn't king then. But the other point I would make, we don't know the exact dates, but we do know that in 2019 the then Prince Andrew was asked to step back from public duties. So I think it's just too early to say that, or to jump to any conclusions about what happened in 2019 or what didn't happen. But I think that any attempt really to try and spread this out is going down the wrong path. There's only one issue here. When people get into trouble, when there are allegations, I don't think it would normally affect family members. If a viewer was to get arrested for something, to give an example, that viewer's brother wouldn't be contaminated by that same arrest. And I don't think that should be made to apply to anyone else either. So I'm sceptical about the attempts by some of the tabloids to spread it out, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, look, that does make sense. And I do want to ask you shortly about the impact on the royal family. But just another allegation that did come to light was that the former UK Prime Minister Gordon Brown, he is claiming that Andrew may have even used taxpayer-funded jets to go and meet with Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, this is quite a serious allegation if he was using taxpayers' money to possibly visit a pedophile. But what do you make of this?
Well, I think we need to be very careful at the moment because obviously we have to bear in mind that the presumption of innocence applies. You'd expect me as a former Attorney General to emphasise this point, but I think it really is important when we're dealing with celebrities or super high-profile people, because a number of people can make a number of allegations. The individual can't respond to them, we have to wait and see how justice takes its course here. But one thing I think we can be very assured of, and you can see from what's happened over the last couple of days, is that no one's being treated as though they're above the law here. That's certainly not happening. So we can see that the law applies to everyone equally. And when people say it's a constitutional crisis, I don't buy that. I think that actually, in a sort of a weird way, this shows that the Constitution is working well in that nobody is positioning themselves above the law or trying to stop the proper course of justice from happening.
And I guess that's the way that it should be, which is comforting to hear. Now, of course, you're the former. Yeah, please.
Sorry, Danica. I mean, I honestly think that wouldn't happen in most countries in the world. I mean, if you look at 193 countries at the UN, I doubt there's more than 10 or 20 countries out of those 193, and the UK and Australia are two of them, where really no one can be said to be unequal before the law. Most countries, I would be sceptical that would happen if it was a family member of a leader in this way. So I think we can be proud of the fact that it shows the system is working. No one, not even the most skeptical person, not even the most ardent Republican, can claim here that anyone is being treated in a special way. Far from it.
No, absolutely. And in the end, as you mentioned, we have to let the justice system now take its course wherever this investigation might go. Now, I want to talk to you about this investigation. So Andrew was, of course, arrested on, it was a Friday in Australia, Thursday night your time. And then it's gone into him being released. And now this investigation is going to take several days. Talk us through it. What sort of a case is being built?
Well, this is going to be something that the police are going to have to watch very, very carefully because there's an offence in the English legal system called misconduct in a public office. Now, that offence was not a statutory offence. It didn't develop overnight because an act was passed in Parliament. That particular offence for which he's been arrested is a common law offence that developed over 200 years here in England, was developed by judges incrementally over more than 2 centuries. It's a really complicated offence, and they're going to have to really get their ducks in a row, as they do in any case like this, to make it stick. They're going to have to show that he was in a public office at the relevant time, and how that's defined is not as simple as you might think. It's actually quite involved. They're going to have to show that what he did was, if he did wrong or failed to do something that was his duty to do, that it was whilst he was acting in that public office, not when he was acting outside of that office, and that he willfully did it. So there's a number of legal elements which are really quite complicated. I think the police have got quite a tough job on their hands, and we shouldn't make any assumptions about how easy that's going to be. This investigation could go on, I think, for a very long time, perhaps multiple months.
Wow. Okay. So given then the difficulties that you've just outlined with this particular investigation and what police are looking at, what's the likelihood then of charges even being laid? And if so, is this a jailable offence? Could he go to jail?
Well, the offence is an imprisonable offence. It carries actually what's known as an at-large sentence. Because Parliament never passed an act over it, they never set a maximum penalty. So the maximum penalty is life imprisonment. However, most people who are prosecuted for this offence get a much lower sentence, a year or two, something like that. What will happen in this case, I wouldn't make any assumptions at all. I think this is going to be, as I say, a tough nut for the British authorities to crack. And I wouldn't make any assumptions. Very often, this particular offence is used against people like police officers who misuse the police national computer to look up, what their relatives or partners or ex-partners were doing, or prison officers who have improper relations with their prisoners and people like that. So people who were clearly in a public duty, holding a public office, who very clearly misconduct themselves whilst holding that office. And they tend to get sentences in the 2 to 3 year range. But we really can't tell. This is unprecedented. As you've heard, no doubt, the historians saying, we haven't had an arrest of a member of the royal family since about 1646. And that wasn't a lawful arrest. So it's not a very good example to use the example of King Charles I in 1646, because they fixed that at the time. But that's the last time any member of the royal family has been arrested.